Welcome back to the English Story Podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Hope. If you work in an office, attend meetings, or send emails in English, today's episode is just for you.
That's right. In this episode, we're diving into essential English phrases that will help you sound professional and confident at work.
Whether you're leading a meeting, following up on an email, or just chatting with your colleagues, knowing the right expressions makes a huge difference.
Think about it. If someone says, "Let's circle back on this later," do you know exactly what they mean? Or if your manager says, "I'll follow up with you," do you know what to expect?
These are the kinds of workplace phrases that native speakers use all the time. And if you want to communicate naturally in a professional setting, it's important to learn them.
So today we'll teach you some of the most useful phrases for meetings, emails, and office conversations. We'll give you real-life examples, role-play scenarios, and even a fun challenge at the end.
By the time you finish this episode, you'll have a whole set of phrases to use at work. So let's get started.
English phrases for meetings.
Let's start with one of the most important parts of any workplace: meetings. Whether you're leading a discussion, sharing your opinion, or asking for clarification, using the right phrases will make you sound professional and confident.
Exactly. Meetings can sometimes feel overwhelming, especially if English isn't your first language. But with these key phrases, you'll be able to participate naturally and effectively. Let's circle back on this, meaning let's return to this topic later.
This is a super common phrase in meetings. If you're discussing something but don't have all the information yet, you can say, "Let's circle back on this later."
Right. For example, let's say your team is discussing a project, but they need more data before making a decision. You might hear the manager say, "We don't have the full report yet, so let's circle back on this next week. Let's touch base." Meaning, let's have a quick check-in conversation.
This is a great phrase for short meetings or updates. If you need to check in with someone but don't need a full meeting, you can say, "Let's touch base tomorrow."
Exactly. Imagine your boss asks you, "How's the report coming along?" Instead of just saying, "It's going well," you could say, "It's almost done. Let's touch base this afternoon to go over the final details." Does that sound good to everyone? Meaning, checking if the team agrees with a plan.
If you're leading a meeting or making a suggestion, you don't want to just assume that everyone agrees. Instead, use this phrase to check if your idea works for the team.
For example, if you're suggesting a deadline, you could say, "We'll submit the final draft by Friday." Does that sound good to everyone? It makes the conversation more collaborative.
All right, Mark, imagine we're in a team meeting and I'm presenting a project update.
Sounds good. Let's go for it.
So we've completed the first phase of the project, but we're still waiting on some numbers from the finance team. Let's circle back on this once we have that data.
Got it. In the meantime, let's touch base tomorrow morning to review what we have so far.
That works for me, so we'll finalize the report by Friday. Does that sound good to everyone?
Sounds good to me.
See how natural that sounds? These little phrases help keep meetings structured, professional, and engaging.
All right, now that we've got meetings covered, let's move on to another important part of work: emails and follow-ups. English phrases for emails and follow-ups.
All right, now that we've covered meetings, let's move on to something just as important: emails and follow-ups. Writing professional emails in English can be tricky, but using the right phrases makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Whether you're reaching out to a colleague, responding to a client, or following up on a task, these expressions will help you sound polite, professional, and confident. I'm reaching out to, meaning a polite way to start an email, especially if you're contacting someone for the first time.
Instead of saying, "I'm writing to," which sounds a bit robotic, try "I'm reaching out to." It sounds more natural and professional.
For example, if you need to ask a colleague for information, you could write, "I'm reaching out to get an update on the project timeline."
Or if you're introducing yourself to a new client, you might say, I'm reaching out to introduce myself and see how we can collaborate.
I'll follow up with you.
Meaning, I'll check back later or provide more details when I have them.
This is a key phrase in business communication. If you don't have an answer right away, instead of just saying, I'll get back to you, try, I'll follow up with you.
For example, let's say a client asks when their order will be ready, but you need to check with your team first. You could say, I don't have the exact date yet, but I'll follow up with you by the end of the day.
It's also useful in meetings. If someone raises a question that needs more research, you can say, that's a great point. I'll follow up with you after I confirm the details. Please let me know if you have any questions. Meaning a polite and professional way to close an email.
This is a great phrase to use at the end of an email instead of just saying, let me know. It sounds more polite and welcoming.
For example, after sending a report, you might write, I've attached the latest report for your review. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Or if you're giving instructions, you could say, here are the steps to complete the process. Please let me know if you need any clarification. All right, let's do a quick role play. Mark, pretend I'm a client asking about an order, and you need to send a professional email response.
Okay, let's say you sent me an email asking when your order will be delivered. Here's how I'd respond. Hi, Hope. I'm reaching out to provide an update on your order. We are currently processing it, and I'll follow up with you once we have a confirmed delivery date. Please let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Best regards, Mark.
That's perfect. It's polite, clear, and professional.
Final tips for email writing. Keep your emails short and to the point. Always use a friendly but professional tone, and double-check for typos before hitting send.
And most importantly, use these phrases to make your emails sound more natural and confident.
All right, now let's move on to another key part of workplace communication, casual office conversations. English phrases for office conversations.
All right, we've covered meetings and emails, but now let's talk about something just as important, everyday office conversations. These are the casual but professional phrases you'll hear all the time when working with colleagues or managers.
Exactly. These are the kinds of phrases that help you build good workplace relationships and sound natural in everyday interactions at work. Do you have a moment? Meaning a polite way to ask for someone's time without interrupting them too much.
Instead of just saying, can we talk, which might sound too direct, a more professional way to ask is, do you have a moment?
For example, if you need to ask your manager a quick question, you could say, hey, do you have a moment to discuss the new client project?
Or if a colleague looks busy but you need their help, you might say, I know you're swamped, but do you have a moment to review this report with me?
Let's keep each other in the loop.
Meaning, let's keep updating each other on what's happening.
This is a great phrase when you and a colleague are working on the same project and need to stay updated.
Right. Instead of just saying, let me know, you can say, let's keep each other in the loop. It sounds more collaborative.
For example, if you're working on different parts of a presentation, you could say, you handle the slides and I'll write the summary. Let's keep each other in the loop on any updates.
I really appreciate your help.
Meaning a polite way to thank a colleague for assisting you.
Saying thank you is always great, but adding I really appreciate your help makes it sound even more sincere and professional.
For example, if a coworker stays late to help you with a report, you could say, I know you're busy, so I really appreciate your help with this.
Or if someone gives you useful advice, you can say, that was really helpful. I really appreciate it. All right, let's role-play a quick office conversation. Mark, imagine I need your help with a presentation, but I know you're busy. How would I ask?
You'd probably say something like, hey, Mark, do you have a moment to go over this presentation with me?
Exactly. And then you might respond, I'm in the middle of something, but I can help in about 10 minutes.
And after I help you, you'd say, thanks, Mark. I really appreciate your help.
Perfect. That sounds natural and professional.
A quick tip, using polite phrases like these makes a huge difference in how you're perceived at work. Small changes like saying, do you have a moment? Instead of, hey, I need to talk, help you sound more professional and respectful.
Exactly. Workplace English isn't just about grammar, it's about tone, politeness, and confidence.
All right, now it's time for our favorite part, the challenge. Challenge. Role play a work conversation.
Now it's time for our favorite part, the challenge. This is where you get to practice using today's phrases in a real-world situation.
That's right. The best way to improve your English is to speak it. So let's do a little role play exercise together. Scenario: a work conversation with a colleague.
Here's the situation. You and a coworker are working on a project together. You need to check in with them about an important update. How would you start the conversation?
Think about what we learned today. Instead of saying, "Hey, what's going on?" a more professional way would be, "Do you have a moment to discuss the project?"
Great. Now let's say your coworker responds, "Sure, what's up?" How would you ask for an update?
A good response would be, "I just wanted to touch base and see how things are going on your end."
Nice. And if they give you an update but you both still need to wait for more details, what could you say?
You could say, "All right, let's keep each other in the loop as we get more information."
Perfect. And finally, if your colleague helps you with something, how do you end the conversation politely?
Easy. "I really appreciate your help. Thanks so much. Your turn." Try this challenge yourself.
Now it's time for you, our listeners, to try it on your own. Think about a work situation you've had recently. How would you use these phrases to communicate better?
You can even write down a short dialogue and practice saying it out loud. If you really want to improve, try role-playing with a friend or recording yourself.
And if you want, send us a message or comment with a sentence using one of today's phrases. We'd love to see how you use them.
All right, let's wrap things up with a quick summary. We hope you found these workplace phrases helpful and feel more confident using them in your daily conversations at work.
Remember, small changes in how you speak can make a big difference in how professional and natural you sound. So start using these phrases in your meetings, emails, and office chats.
And don't forget today's challenge. Try using one of these expressions in a real conversation, or write a short dialogue and practice out loud.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow our podcast so you never miss an update. And if you know someone who's learning English for work, share this episode with them.
Thanks for listening, and as always, keep practicing, keep improving, and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.